Welcome, ladies and gents. Kembo is back and on the prowl. And with me, I brought cinematic judges, Brant. Say hi.
Hi. This is Brant.
And Ryan.
Hey, what's up?
Not Seacrest. Perfect.
Yeah.
It's Ryan Lights Out, Cahill.
That's right. Ryan Lights Out, Cahill.
Wham! Slugfest.
This is so liberating yet scary, not having all of these bits that we don't have to prepare.
Yeah, especially when you got the hard rock theme song that sounds especially like Bad Religion.
Oh.
I mean, that's praise.
A buddy of mine that I work with, he wrote that for us.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, well, so awesome having you from Slugfest VOD podcast, and we're taking on the Undisputed quadrilogy. It follows the exploits of Iceman Chambers and Russian pit fighter Boyka. So
he's the most complete fighter in the world.
The most complete fighter, yeah. Pretty wild how a direct-to-video movie has spawned such a big cult fandom. This is crazy, though. Like, I obviously many people who own a gym or into martial arts are going to seek out all kinds of independent pictures, but like even my friends know about that, and they don't follow video on demand, direct-to-video stuff all that much. They're still kind of stuck in the 90s and 2000s and are more likely to just see a superhero film. So it's just so wild how almost all of them know who Scott Adkins is, and they haven't even seen Doctor Strange yet. I'm like, for real? Okay, but so Boyka, you know him from that and Expendables 2. Okay, cool.
And then you really blow their minds and they're like, he was in the first Doctor Strange, right?
That's right.
Yeah. How did I not know that? Yeah.
He has such a weird career of these smaller parts in big movies.
He's kind of taken over Gary Daniels' career, which is so wild.
And then in the beginning, he had like this weird run of like BBC soap operas. I think where like he wasn't sure, where his career was going to take him, so it seemed like he was trying to like hedge all his bets.
Yeah, hedge all the bets, and it helped that he basically just again, it was a Millennium property. They saw potential in him, but it's so funny how they didn't even want him initially, and like, oh man, you would have pissed away a talent.
Oh yeah, like it's crazy how it developed basically overnight and just became this huge VOD star. Like, what, they have Undisputed 5 in the works, maybe, or
potentially,
Accident Man 2, Undisputed 5. They've got all these different Adkins movies being filmed right now. The guy's awesome. If you just watch one of his films, if you catch his film, you're like hooked for life.
Yeah, the guy works.
Yeah.
Hey, he works a lot with Jesse V. Johnson, and this launches his collaboration with
the Isaac Florentine. This is definitely like
who was fresh off Power Rangers.
This is like the first time he's really like a lead in a movie, and I mean this is kind of the movie that makes him.
Yes.
Or Undisputed 2. I mean,
Undisputed
there's so many different ways we could like talk about these movies. Like we could just go through sequentially.
I'll outline it. No, don't worry. And like you say, the tone is crazy. It shouldn't work, but it kind of does.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy because in the first Undisputed, you have it's almost like a different series. That's why, to me, I don't really like the first one. Like, it's like a boxing. That's where the action is, right? There's boxing inside.
Oh yeah, for all of these, I had to rewatch them because like I had seen parts of part 2 and it looked like shit, but seeing it all in context, it's pretty damn good. And
yes,
part 1, I don't think is going to make a top 10 of Walter Hill, but on rewatching, I actually came away with something different this time, which was just so weird. It's like all these movies just were too good at the time and just came out by word of mouth, like on martial arts forums and just of the talents involved. Like people were going to seek him out because, hey, Wesley Snipes, hey, Scott Adkins, this new guy, he's a cool real deal. And Michael J. White, he's Spawn, but he's, flesh and blood. He's doing this back to back with Black Dynamite. And so as a outline for everyone, the first one was a Dimension Films theatrical release in 2002 that had Ving Rhames playing Iceman Chambers as a Mike Tyson-esque boxer forced to fight another infamous boxer in an illegal prison. And then they said it was like set in like New Orleans or some shit like that, Georgia.
All I remember is it was Sweetwater Prison.
Yes, Sweetwater.
Very sweet.
Yes.
Right. And Monroe was played by Wesley Snipes, who was kind of the main hightail. It was basically a Harsh Times rehash, the Charles Bronson classic for Walter Hill. Undisputed 2 came out 4 years later for New Line Cinema, and was the sequels followed basically every 4 to 6 years, and would premiere at Action Fest. Undisputed 3 was distributed by Warner Home Video, and Undisputed 4 Boyka, which was basically, I want to almost say, was kind of challenging a lot of the other reboot, newer sequels, kind of like Ghostbusters and Terminator Dark Fate almost, and the new Star Wars and Jurassic World, where it's like just showing the franchise was still alive and pertinent. And this was distributed by Universal and was made available on Netflix for the longest time. But so, did you guys watch any of these in order, or were you just kind of like me, where you would see parts of them promoted on cable TV or the streaming?
I went back and I watched it in order just to see what was happening, basically what I missed. Because I've seen 2 and 3 before, and I hadn't seen 1 or 4, so I just rewatched. I watched 1, and
it used to play on FX and Stars quite a lot, but for whatever reason, it just kind of came and went, and it was just so wild how some people really liked it, and some people just found it mediocre, forgettable. And part 2 came out, and it just kind of, a lot of movies were just like, this is the best direct-to-video movie of all time. I'm like, you're for real? I couldn't, but the way they stated it, I couldn't tell if they were being sarcastic or legit. And it was just like, no, just check it out. Okay. Oh, well, I guess I will. And
yeah, there was a weird, it was being distributed on like, what was it? Like, I don't know. It was some new service I had not heard of before. I can't find it right now, but it was like,
Tubi?
No, it was a very specific one.
Crackle.
No. It was like some other one I hadn't heard of before. It was like chocolate something. It's a new. I don't know what the service is, but it was. You could have gotten it for free on a 7-day trial. I just rented it for $3.99 off Amazon. And
big spender over
I know, which is more than I've spent on any of the movies. So that's another reason I didn't like it, because I had to spend money on it. Turns out, I mean, it was decent, but it's not my favorite because it doesn't have the most action, and it takes a lot of time just basically training.
The whole thing is like, I get it's a Mike Tyson parable.
Yes.
The intersectionality does not age super well. Like what the movie is sort of asking you to question may or may not have happened. I feel like this is not the type of movie that you are supposed to be struggling with those weighty issues. And the movie structurally does not like immediately present Ving Rhames as the villain. So you kind of slowly, you're like, oh.
I kind of went along for it because otherwise I figured it was going to be just a bland, mindless beat 'em up. Even though I do like a mindless beat 'em up, I just kind of, I don't know.
Wesley Snipes is the hero. He's barely in the movie. It's like he's like they spend enough time welding him inside.
Maybe. I mean, on this rewatch, I kind of feel like they're both anti-heroes. Like they're just letting the viewer make up their mind who they want to root for.
I mean, they're both not good people, for sure.
Right.
They're
right.
Having John Cena, who had been on similar shows like Oz, kind of helped. I was like, is this Oz in the future?
No, I mean, like they definitely painted Monroe Hutchin like as a killer, but then to Brant's point, they definitely threw him into isolation basically and built that. I don't even know why Michael Rooker kept building the isolation like steel crate for him.
Well, no.
He had nothing else to do.
Remember, he was on the payroll. Remember?
Yeah, but it doesn't. He was on the payroll, but Snipes didn't like. Shouldn't he have been training if he was their like prize? Like
well, I think
how do you have Michael Rooker as like the head warden and the head guard and not go full villain? That seemed like such a waste.
I think the actor didn't want to go full Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer. I don't think he wanted to go that far. But
I mean, he's such a gifted scenery chewer, and he's just yeah, okay.
I felt like they left it to Peter Falk as the mob boss.
Yeah, I guess he
won a stinker award.
He did
just
enough
so you know.
scenery chewing for everyone.
Fisher Stevens was definitely interesting because, again, I grew up with Short Circuit, so slap your sidewalk.
Yeah, I was gonna say, was that? Yeah, I knew it was the guy from Short Circuit at first. I was like, is that? It's got to be him. So,
to your earlier points, I do think they kind of indicate that Snipes is kind of just an ego-driven guy. Doesn't want to be doing this anymore, but he just wants to. It's a pride thing, kind of. It's like,
right.
I'm still a badass, still got it, even when I'm in the joint, doing time for the man. And again, Iceman was just like, this is all wrong, and I think that's just where he was trying to. Like the first hour, he's basically having to put aside the fact that basically no one has his back except him. So basically, he's got to come out on top just to prove anything. But it's just so fucking weird that just to recast him with Jay White, because you're just like, I don't know.
It's very problematic if you take that.
White should have been Snipes' characters, if anything. You know,
if Ving Rhames if George Iceman Chambers is the villain of this movie, then he's ostensibly the hero of the second movie. Like, you should not be rooting for him at all.
Right, exactly. Especially, like, because the case against him was never, they never talked about that either, by the way. They never, like, oh, by the way, this woman, you know, like that, the parallel to the Tyson case and the George the Iceman case, it was just, like, problematic throughout the whole movie. And then, like, to leave that all just untouched and go into the second movie, like, oh, hey, I'm George Iceman Chambers again, and now I'm a good guy. You're like,
I mean, I don't know the numbers. I feel like some producers were like, oh, yeah, we can get the rights to the Undisputed franchise, and it made such and such amount of money. So,
because, no one was looking forward to it, and then it just came out of nowhere. And
why don't we take your Russian boxing movie and just call it Undisputed 2? And then we'll make Michael Jai White's character this character. And the fact they don't even, it's a small detail, but it's kind of telling. Like, they don't put the Iceman tattoo on his back. Like,
they don't put the Iceman, and once again, he's framed. I was actually laughing throughout this because I recognize the guy playing this crooked lawyer in part 2, Ken Lerner. You know him from Days, and he's even on Chicago Hope and just a bunch of other even William Lustig B movies. I'm like, Jesus, this dude was in
classic character actor.
And he's just really having a lot of fun there. For parts 2 and 3, I actually grew to really, I think the main villain has got to be hands down Mark Ivaner of Schindler's List fame. You've seen him on Call of Duty in 24. He's the go-to Russian actor, and here he is playing the mob boss who owns a strip club and bets on he has like a shareholding.
He's in The New Pope on HBO, and he is just like, you can barely watch the screen. He's just throwing out so much just casual menace. But he's super dude. Playful. Yeah,
he really is. He's been around for years, and there's been many times where sometimes his head is completely shaved, and how can you recognize him? You know, he's just gifted that guy. But it's so funny. Is like, how did Ben? You look at other people whose careers should have been bigger, like Ben Cross, rest in peace, and you're just like, he was kind of loyal to New Image as well, so he appeared in a lot of their Bulgarian productions, and you're like, man, but that dude can do accents like no tomorrow, and he kind of lets his British English accent kind of stand out here. But I just, it was interesting here. Is like, here he is just addicted to like painkillers and drugs, and
yeah, but that's why I like this one. I think arguably I had a tough time thinking what one was my favorite one, but number 2 is just so much. It's so different from.
It's aged pretty well. I do have issues like with maybe the first fight because it kind of just feels a little too mindless for its own good, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but I can see that.
Because Isaac Florentine was figuring out how to structure his action narratives. You know, prior to that, he was just doing typical direct-to-video slugfest with Olivia Grunner, who is an awesome guy in his own right. I would not mind seeing him in one of these, or even Dolph Lundgren, who was initially considered for boycott. But it's interesting how it's overall, I like how they use the dollies this time around. Like, it's just some really good camera work. The only time where I just really, this viewing felt like it was just out of place is just it's very hectically edited when the one prisoner who's been helping out Iceman is reunited with his daughter at the end. It's very hectically edited to where you're just like,
that's
come
not
on.
but that's not his daughter. That's his niece.
It's his niece.
My bad.
Never,
Sorry.
didn't even know he existed.
And yeah, no hinting. You just thought he was going to be just an all-wise hermit,
Yeah.
being the Obi-Wan of the prison.
That girl should have turned around and run screaming the other way.
Why is he hectically MTV edited?
Who is this man? Who is this man? But yeah, no.
Man?
There's a clear good guy, clear bad guy, and like the training in this is much more like tainted, and it's like a lot harder, and they have favoritism. So that's why I like this.
And Boyka really does grow throughout the rest of the movie. He has some snappy one-liners, and then you can see the cult appeal, and then. Yeah, Michael J. White makes the role his own to where, again, he's not proud of where he's from, but he's not going to die here. At the end of the day, get the motivation. I'm not going to die in this shithole. I was set up. You can actually side with him for once, unlike, like you say in the first one, where you're like, I'm taking that with a grain of salt since you're basically Mike Tyson. Here, we're just like, okay, crappy promoter, crappy lawyer, crappy everything. Yeah.
There's an actual character arc in this movie.
Jay White is just, much like Wesley Snipes, he always had this charisma. I've been going through some of his earlier stuff. He had like a brief recurring role on NYPD Blue. He actually, as a different character in one of the earlier Unisol movies, he legit does not deserve to be even where he is right now, making all these shitty direct-to-video sequels for like.
Well, he is starting his own. He just started his own company studio. Yeah.
Well, and I get he couldn't turn down the work. He's still trying to get Black Dynamite 2 and a Western he did with Randy Couture wrapped, and I get it, but it does suck that he had to take whatever. And you're like, this man should have already had 5 other sitcoms or action shows, in addition to the Mortal Kombat web series he did,
Yeah, and I think he takes the martial arts really, really seriously. And I think just a lot of studios don't have the imagination.
Well, you know why, right? My pal, I met Poirier of the direct-to-video Connoisseur. I'm sure you've heard of it, along with Comeuppance Reviews. Not ringing a bell?
No, I have not heard of that.
Okay, yeah, they're very awesome. But he said he saw an interview where Jay White was even asked, like in casting interviews, I'm just looking for the white version of you. So there are a lot of douchebags high up. Yeah, and Scott Adkins heard about that, and he was like, man, fuck you. You shouldn't be hiring me just because of my skin color. That's not cool.
Yeah, Scott Adkins seems like a stand-up guy too. So
yeah, when he first came out, I figured he was going to be a hothead, kind of like Darth Maul or Toad from X-Men, Ray Park, or even much like Gary Daniels before he accepted his direct-to-video, stardom. Is like, no, he was down to earth. He was a family man. He took whatever kind of role. He is training every day in the gym when he's not taking on roles or doing auditions. So it is one of those where you're like, he should be on, like, if they do a rehash of the British show Spooks or Strike Back, he should be the lead special ops guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think there's, I don't want to speculate on what motivates these guys, but I feel like Scott Adkins is kind of exactly where he wants to be. Like, he will occasionally get these awesome paycheck movies. Dude, probably being in Doctor Strange probably fucking paid for a house, even though it's a very small role. But then he gets to turn around and be executive producer and work with Jesse V. Johnson and Isaac Florentine. And, he's openly said, he's like, I grew up loving JCVD and I wanted his career.
Right.
He's a couple years younger than me. That means a lot of those movies that he watched, were as he was, JCVD was kind of in that downswing into direct-to-video stuff.
Because Dolph,
I think he was,
and him, I think, are going to actually be working together again. They really liked working each other. They just gave each other equal stardom in that recent movie they did. That was
the Castle Falls.
Yeah. It was a simple, straightforward premise. Assault on Precinct 13, Walter Hill's Trespass, basically mashed together, and then they. But I have no doubt. I think he's actually going to direct in the future.
Yeah.
Because, like you say, he is where he wants to be. He knows who he is, what he can do. He's already proven himself. And same thing with Jay White. Jay White has proven he can do comedy, drama, and action. as well as he can an upper kick or, neck crack, so it's just, and Wesley Snipes was kind of that way there for a while. He's like, hey, even though I'm direct to video, I'm still pretty awesome. It's just every once in a while there's going to be a movie where it's like, yeah, that was a paycheck movie before I went to prison. And it's just so, I'm sure he probably doesn't think too fondly of this movie. It's like, that's one of the last movies I did before my tax issues. And like you say, it is, I would actually support him coming back to this franchise. If you
Sure. I was actually thinking about that the other
Monroe
could they
fights Boyka and for the Ultimate Champion title, or it could be in a, how about instead of a prison, Boyka becomes a legit boxer. No one else will hire him except like some other guy. And of course, what do you know? Every boxing promoter has a shady side. So next, there you go. And
yeah, I was thinking, what happens if Boyka got shipped off to the States?
Yeah,
I mean, there's all sorts of different.
They doctor his green card, and Wesley Snipes can pull an Art of War. See what I did there?
Make it,
yeah.
Fake his dad, and that's what's also kind of confusing. Part 3, I actually think is Boyka's finest hour. Don't get me wrong, he has some great ones in part 2, but part 3, man, when he teams up with that other guy, Michael
Shannon Jenkins. Oh,
yeah, that dude is awesome.
I love that guy.
So
he's been in everything. Guest starred on like CSI New York and NCIS, bit part roles in Double Jeopardy, Behind Enemy Lines 2, and some other sci-fi and even some.
He was just in that Paper Tigers. Movie.
Yeah, it's really good.
Fucking good in that.
Yeah,
I mean that whole movie is amazing.
Yeah, Netflix
really
real good.
You guys reviewed.
If you want a movie that you want to watch with your mom, Paper Tigers. There you go. That's a movie you can watch with somebody who doesn't like action movies.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's funny. But
that's so true. That's actually how I discovered you guys.
Really?
Shameless plug, but like legit, you were tagged in like martial arts movies or some shit. It just came up in my feed. I was like, oh, awesome. There are actual B movie guys who know everything about everything on streaming and everything. This is awesome. But yeah, he's done a lot of stuff. He's done like a lot of web series and even TV movies, and he was even in Grudge Match with Stallone and De Niro.
Yeah.
So that alone is bonus points for.
But they, I mean, Michael Shannon Jenkins and Scott Adkins have like awesome charisma, and like that is like Undisputed 3 is the one where you start to see Boyka's facade crack a little bit. Like he can't just be an asshole. All the time.
But now you understand where he's from. Because at first he starts out being killing machine, and near the end being like it's not personal, and then here he's just like it becomes kind of almost a quasi Lethal Weapon 48 hours shtick where there's like
it's
and
definitely
I like how they go out of the prison. They're actually escaping from the yard, and then that whole twist involving the mob boss Gaga, no relation, Mark Ivanhoe's character, and still
love Gaga.
Stogie.
That's why I was
the
just
fucking warden's the same.
And he teams up with Robert Costanzo. That's such a awesome
recall,
with those two running around. I would watch a spin-off of just those two.
Yes.
Just running around getting into trouble.
Yeah.
Lateef Crowder from Ong Bak is in there and has some great fights.
Yep.
He's another one. He should be a bigger star. He's gotten some legit big on-screen movie fighting, but for the most part, people don't seem to know him because he's just often credited as stunts. And I'm like, Criminal. He should be. I mean, the most you're going to see him in is this hysterical movie you guys should totally review with Kerry Tagawa called Black Cobra.
Oh.
And it is just as hysterical a movie. Like, I kid you not. You're going to be watching it, and you're either going to be just guffawing uproariously or just be like, is this a Showdown in Little Tokyo sequel? What is this?
He's been in a bunch. I love Lateef Crowder.
He has a good fight in Girl from the Naked Eye.
Yes.
And I think Mile 22, if I'm not mistaken, but definitely the Mortal Kombat Rebirth show was pretty good. But yeah, I don't know why they're not bigger. But I love how the warden, Markov, is the same in all three of these sequels.
Yes, Valentin Ganev.
Oh, yeah.
I love how he thinks he's going to be killed in like part 2. And these Bulgarian actors, again, have been on almost every Expendables, New Image, Canon Films type production, and they've made a living doing this. But
I was going to say, how can you hate on Ganev? I love him. He's in 2, 3, and he takes like he has a nod in 4 as well. Yeah. I love it. And he's also in Ninja with Adkins.
I'm sure Adkins and Florentine remembered him, said put him in there, put him in that franchise. They should they should even do a third ninja, but they have to find out what Death Mage is to do. But I'll even I'll give you this. So hot take. I think the rap soundtrack's probably the best in the first one. Stanley Clark producing it helped, but part 3 of the sequels, part 3 definitely has the best rap soundtrack for me. I can't stand the Russian rap theme that plays over the credits in part 2. And part 4, I mean, it's tolerable, but it's not great.
A lot of it is just like this genre of rap music of like rappers who don't know anything about fighting, rapping about fighting. They're just
more like they don't even know how to rap, but they're doing it anyway.
I don't know. The first one had Master P, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he was rap. So I take it back. Actually, yeah, no, I meant part 4. Part 4 had some excellent rap music, but yeah, part 3 definitely the worst of the whole saga. And part 2, like, it was tolerable, but then there was like even halfway through the second fight where they used some overdone like slow motion that works, but is just not as effective as the initial fight where you actually see the uppercuts. It's like, okay, get off your high horse. I get that you can't rap and you just need rap music, but Jesus Christ, just have a musical dramatic score playing instead of yo, and you're like,
probably Isaac Florentine was like, okay, there needs to be rap music in here. Fine, whatever. Somebody pick a soundtrack. I'm not worried about
that. It's over a great fight scene. I'm like, if anything, have rap music play over the credits or the end credits. Don't have it play over a fight that I love.
Yeah, it's like they're just trying to like build some rhythm into the.
We were joking even earlier on all the music artists we've covered on here, how we love the hell out of their music, but we hate how there was just as many bad movies as there were good movies that would play their songs randomly over a fight scene. So the next thing you know, you're like, why is Paul Oakenfold or Crystal Method playing in this fight? Let alone over this poor CGI fight that should be way more high budget and look way better than what any fight should have been.
That's why I liked the second, third, and fourth one much better as well, because it seems like the fighting got better and they started to realize
so much better.
Yeah, they started to realize, all right, we want more fights. So the first one was just one boxing match. The second one was a lot more MMA style fighting. The third one went into explored different fighting styles.
And part 4, this is a redemption hour. So now we're really invested in the fights. It's like, I did not kill that man. He's the fugitive.
Right. Yeah. I mean, exactly. it goes so far that you're almost like his character arc is almost straining credulity. But running the series on this, because like 2 I had probably seen like 15 times. I watch it constantly.
I'll have to tell my buddy Braden, who's making indie action movies, is like, you got some competition, my dude. Brant and Ryan, man, they've seen it. They've seen it more than you.
I've never watched Walter Hill is he's very talented but wildly inconsistent talent, and that movie does not exist. Like, it's there.
Yeah. And I mean, the same issue was argued about Bullet to the Head, where they're like, it's not a Walter Hill movie, but it is a Stallone movie.
Like, I get that this movie was made and it was released in theaters, but it just doesn't exist. Like, it's a very forgettable movie. But then, he shifted gears.
I totally forgot about it growing up, and then when revisiting these, is like, I liked it better, but at the same time, it wouldn't make his top 10. It's like,
right. It kind of exists like he
wasn't used to taking compromises back then. I don't think. I think he really was just burdened with what Abbey Lerner and the Millennium Films guys wanted him to do, and he's like, "You want me to what? Well, that's not how I'm bred, dude. I'm a neo-Western guy."
Right. So make your Western in a prison with these actors.
You can hire a porn star, maybe a stuntman, maybe makeup. Good. Hire my girlfriend. She's a good actress. You know, she's not acted before. Yeah.
But as you shift gears to Isaac Florentine, like, I really appreciated watching 2, 3, and 4. Like, the budget and
why was he fired from part 4?
Oh, so he wasn't. His wife was dying of cancer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I saw IMDb doesn't list it, but okay, I see. Because like Wikipedia listed him as like co-director, and it was like, he's co-director, but The main gal.
Yeah, he had to step away, and you can definitely you could tell the parts he definitely played a big role in the movie.
I think he definitely
also,
did the finale alone, probably, because.
Yeah, well, but you also you have Tim Mann as the fight choreographer, which is that's almost as big of a deal as having Jesse V. Johnson or Isaac Florentine directing the movie. The thing about 4 is that the quality of the fights change based on how hard Boyka has to fight, which is crazy because if you look at 2, it's Isaac Florentine woke up on Christmas morning to Scott Adkins. It was holy shit, I had this fucking sick martial artist that nobody knows about.
He's back in prison again.
It's like a Super Ball that I need to just throw as hard as I can. I almost feel like the budget works there because the ring has to be tiny. Anything that is not in the fighting ring is so poorly lit. It just has to be dungeon. So it's just Scott Adkins going fucking nuts, and it's awesome, but it's very much everything's turned up to 11. Then in 3, you get a prison tournament movie, which Slugfest will tell you is objectively the best genre of movie.
It's the best kind of movie there is.
I'm with you. That's why I loved your points on all your other episodes, especially Acts of Vengeance by Isaac Florentine and other stuff. Is you guys are paying attention to all kinds of things, edits and lighting and who doesn't love a good Die Hard in a Prison. And of course it's so funny when you guys took on Riot and you reviewed it because when that came out I legit thought it was is this Undisputed or Half Past Dead part 3?
We were unjustly unfair to Riot the first time.
We came out swinging pretty hard.
Well, and again, I'm part of the Dolph fans, so often they can tell you what's a cameo versus what's fake advertising, but that's what's always been unfair to Dolph. They never get the marketing right on his movies. All his best movies have possibly the worst posters, and his best movies are just not seen by anyone. They were only premiered on HBO or played at a Cannes film festival, and the rest of the time you only saw them theatrically if you were again in the Middle East or Japan. So, but he's had a better run, I think, than Van Damme, but I would not mind him or Van Damme being in the sequel. I'm sure Van Damme will be too big and Dolph will be well, I'll do it, but you better raise the bar in my paycheck,
Right. I think Dolph's I just need to be paid. Van Damme he's in a weird, very meta, inward gazing part of his career that he maybe needs to get over that. As fun as it's been, he
got back his respect, and I don't think he really ever got his respect back. What he did is he just kept staying busy, but he's got to do better than just remaking Kickboxer. He's got to do something else besides play himself. I think he could really
exactly.
He could be a warden. That would be fun.
You know what he reminds me of? He reminds me of a VOD Nick Cage, right? He kind of is he's kind of like the Nick Cage. He gets to play himself. He gets to be zany. He gets to do all this other stuff, whatever he wants to at this point, right? And he just keeps pumping out films.
Right. Ryan, I have a hot take for you. You know who is also a good VOD Nick Cage?
Are you going to say Nick Cage?
Yes.
I'd agree with that.
I'll give you one better. Wings Hauser.
Oh.
I will say I just watched Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. That movie, I thought it was really good.
I want to watch it.
My family loved it. The comedy worked for me. The action was pretty bad. That made me feel
I felt like it was not supposed to be grounded in reality at all, but I don't know.
It just went on too long for me, but it did have some legit funny moments, especially when he's envisioning his real life wife is played in a movie by Demi Moore.
Yes.
Okay. That was funny. That's legit funny. And having Pedro Pascal is you're so amazing.
So
The Rock.
He's so good. Yeah.
Pedro Pascal is I think he's underrated in terms of movies and other things like that. People are I don't know about this guy.
So coming soon, Pedro Pascal in The Pit Fighter.
he better be.
Toro. Wait. No. No. He could be some kind of, hell, he might as well be a mercenary since that's what he plays in Star Wars, but he'll be
He would be a good warden. He would be a good prison warden. I think.
Warden.
Like
but remember, you guys did El Gringo, so El Gringo too.
Yep.
Or the corrupt guy running the fights. He'd be a good one at that too.
Oh hell. Yes. How about he play a senator who at night is basically a vigilante?
There we go.
Not bad. I like it.
And this is all the same movie. I'm in.
Perfect.
He's playing all those characters. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. A dual role. There you go.
Yeah.
Slugfest now owns the rights to all of these ideas. Not just kidding.
Right.
Yeah.
I will legit give you guys money to make one of my action movies.
Oh, I can't believe. So we've been talking this whole time without talking about Martin Ford.
I was just gonna say, what about Martin Ford? I was gonna say best bad guy, but Martin Ford.
I mean, they had to give Boyka a Boyka, and I like Marco Zaror. Like he gives a bonkers performance, but it's very silly.
Yeah,
maybe they go.
He's another one, much like Latif. He should have a way bigger career than say Machete Kills. He should legit have his own YouTube web series with somebody. But I gotta hear your take on part 4, where you got the other gangster Zarab, played by Alan Abathal, who you might know as the main bad guy, and one of the bad guys in Body of Lies, London Has Fallen, and he's had bit parts in this one Michael Perry, Lorenzo Lamas film that was also by New Image, and Rambo 3. He's just been around for fun.
Yeah,
go-to Israeli guy.
Rambo 3 definitely. He is a guy like we have a saying on the podcast where it's like when they show up, there's a big neon sign that's just like
bad guy.
Bad guy is here.
Yeah, and Javier Bardem was not in the budget, so let's hire this guy to play the Israeli go-to guy.
Yeah, he is just such a menacing asshole, and kind of, I wouldn't say it's a thankless role, but to basically
he can play it in his sleep.
Yeah, and I mean, just being here to terrorize this widow.
When he walked into the funeral, right? Or the wake.
I forgot about that. Oh my god!
The sign just lit up immediately, right up top. It was like bzz, bzz, bzz.
This guy he's not going to wait. He's not going to wait a respectful amount of time before kissing her hands.
Right. Yeah, exactly. At the funeral, and you're like, all right.
And what did you think of the Teodora gal? I could not believe she was Ukrainian or something, I believe. And she's been in a bunch of other New Image productions. Right. And I'm like, I love this gal. She feels so natural. She's easily probably the best female lead in this whole franchise, because that is one thing I do respect about this. I am glad that it didn't get misogynistic or show, what would a woman's voice be in that? They never had a prison guard getting raped. They never had anything just where it would have been produced by Roger Corman, where this is way too much in this day and age, or to where you just can't even take any of it seriously, to where you're like, holy crap, what kind of a prison is this? It made sense to have it be in Russia. Part 1 was helped by, like you say, Rooker didn't get much to do, but it was good in that they at least established that there's a wave of guards all in on the payroll, and some of them have doubts because they're taking the money, but they don't agree with what the prison has become. And the lawyers know that this is all bullshit, and they just don't believe any of their clients that they're representing. So they're just cutting deals. And so here, it's just good that it's scrapped the, after part 2, it was like, there is no place for a lawyer, and we're not going to pull a death warrant where we got an undercover cop or anything. It's all going to be very confined. And I just would have I don't have any issues with part 4. I just wish they could have had a little backstory on how he got back into prison. But at the same time, you could probably just fill in the blanks. He got caught, he's on the run.
Right.
But
just pretty unambiguously take him down. Yeah.
The best of the 2010 type reboots, this kicks The Force Awakens and any of the Ghostbusters asses any day. Jurassic World, you got nothing on this.
Well, I think they were, being a little more reasonable in what they were setting out to do, and it's like a natural extension of the story. I will say Teodora, I like that relationship that Alma has with Boyka, because there's another. there's another version of this movie where there's like a weird love story,
relationship. Yeah, exactly.
And it never comes close to crossing that. In fact, she gets really fucking pissed at him when he's like, just run away from your problems. And she's like, I'm in this fucking mess because I wanted to help other people.
Yeah,
like, I thought you wanted to be a good person. Like, do you want to be a good person or don't you want to be a good person? So she kind of like really sticks it to him. And is Boyka's character development perfect? No, but I think, for the type of movie this is, like, you have to be fair. And, they're trying.
We know so much about him, but at least it felt somewhere natural, like you said. And
yeah.
I agree with you. Martin Ford should be a bigger name.
He's a guy you don't really know what to do with. Like, you put him on like an ABC sitcom. He's like with like five.
I would
orphans.
watch that. Get him with Nathan Jones.
I would watch him. I think
and
the
Goldberg
three of us would be the
and
only ones. Yeah.
Stone Cold. There you go. Yeah, have the XX of wrestling and stunt fighters. But I mean, you guys reviewed him in Marine 6. I don't think you guys.
He's great in Marine 6.
I don't think you guys reviewed Final Score, did you?
No.
Not yet. That's such a fun slugfest with Batista and Ray Stevenson. But I forgot he had like a huge like fight scene in that. But yeah, he's worked with Adkins again, and I forgot he had a brief role in Accident Man, and then
the fucking world's scariest masseuse.
And then he was in Max Cloud, which no one should ever see. Please don't see it.
Is it that bad?
I literally went in with empty expectations, and I'm sorry, Valerian blows out of the water. At least that one knows what it was trying to be, a Fifth Element type movie, but this one is like Atkins just looks like everything just was done in one take, and it's like, I knew what it was, but just not the right mind to direct. And
hey, when you're working that much, I think you're not everything's going to be a 10.
Yeah, exactly. You can get a pass.
No, I'm not blaming him at all. I'm sure it was good on paper. It's just someone thought they could do Farscape, and they didn't.
On a budget, yeah.
I did like the way that they brought out Martin Ford, though. I like the way they introduced him, sort of like they did in Undisputed too with Boyka in general. Like they had the ring, and they brought him out with like Hannibal Lecter style with 4 basically prongs on them.
And I feel like they weren't really thinking that plan through, though. Like, what happens when
you release him?
Right.
Release the hounds. But yeah, a lot of these guys have worked on plenty of other Millennium stuff. Like even the cinematographers worked on Security and Leatherface and plenty of other Bulgarian stuff, and even Creed 2 as an assistant camera operator. But like, I like how they had some of the same writers, Boaz Davidson and David M. White came back, and again, Todar, the director, had been like a first assistant director also on like London Has Fallen and Hitman's Bodyguard. So it's like that they know how all these have to be shot and what's expected and what to bring to the table, instead of just be very clueless. And even like all the faults we've listed are still very minuscule compared to the bigger picture, where the idea resonates, the world is actually built, instead of, like you say, feeling like too self-indulgent or just like, again, just something to put on an antenna channel at, the death slot,
Yeah. I mean, the first movie, Boyka's a bad guy, but Scott Adkins is so good. They're like, holy shit!
And they acknowledge
another movie here.
Used, it's nothing personal.
The second, the third Undisputed. Okay, it's a prison tournament movie. Like that. That's just sort of like a hermetically sealed plot that the characters get wrapped up into. Yeah. This is like the fourth one. That's the one where we're like, okay, it's time to tell a story about Boyka, and it's a good story. Even if you're like, okay, like this is literally the guy who was introduced, like having beaten his opponent, sitting on his chest, and smashing his head into like a bloody pulp. Yeah, which is kind of what Martin Ford is doing. With his character.
But I will say that he didn't. Boyka, like I knew from the start they were gonna make that Boyka like kill that guy or like injure that guy. I actually thought he was gonna go to prison for like killing a guy in the ring, but I was like,
fake out.
Yeah, but like he didn't want to do it, right? He didn't want to do it. He kept saying, stay down, but you grow to learn, or you learn as the movie goes along that like this guy was fighting. The reason he had to keep getting up is because he would be dead if he didn't make it to the big leagues, basically.
Exactly.
So
in many ways, kind of even that's where it goes in the gray area. Is this a mercy killing, or is this just gotta do what I gotta do? You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, here's one. It'll never happen. It'd be too lowbrow, and the creators would totally refuse. It'd be funny if they did a crossover with Prison Break. Skull this summer, the Skullfields have to fight Boyka.
I mean, if somebody was smart, they could just license Boyka out to appear in all sorts.
I would see the hell out of that. Teabag gets his neck snapped by Boyka. Oh my god, that's amazing. Thank you for that idea. Hopefully they do it. Altogether though, I think you guys have illustrated how these, again, they really do defy expectations, and it is just kind of cool to just see that kind of level of just, again, care, because we were just so used to, after a while, of just so much stuff just being way too cheap or just feeling just made with no love. And again, like if people are still stoked for part 5, that says a lot. And it's because like when we watch something else, like say Bloodfist or even Sniper, those are more known for just being fun Sunday night, junk food, as opposed to I legit can watch these anytime at all, even if I'm actually working out. These are fun movies.
Oh
yeah.
So the first one was basically an Oz reject, done Southern style, and these last two were just ultimate fight to the death movies with some heart.
Oh yeah, for sure. Number 3 was, because if you lost, you're dead. So
yeah, and so you've already come up with some good ideas. I think a good way to end this would be who would you like to see kind of join? I'm kind of leaning on Daniel Bernhardt, or definitely Cynthia Rothrock. She could be awarded. It'd be awesome.
Ooh.
They break into our office and she says, I'm like ex-special forces. You don't want to do that.
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely have Cynthia Rothrock could definitely be like a...
Because it's so over the top, but you actually believe in its over the top universe, if that makes sense, versus other ones where you're like, okay, extra brain turn off, extra keg of beer needed,
Yeah, I think you could get somebody like... You could probably get some old UFC guys to add to it, because Atkins does a lot of mixed martial arts. So you could probably get you could probably even find Quentin Rampage Jackson to be.
Thank you. Oh my God, you want to talk a real life Tyson of MMA? That dude is perfect for this.
Yeah. I mean, but is somebody
better
who knows
yet,
how to move?
Get in Tyson. Bring Mike Tyson in.
I mean, you could probably do it. Wasn't he in Ip Man 4?
Yeah,
exactly.
Atkins and Tyson are already like strange movie cousins through it.
Yep.
So you could bring that in, and I mean, why not bring JCVD in? So
yeah, I'm thinking, Atkins, he's only 45. He's definitely a lot of years ahead of him. So maybe I'm thinking not to Undisputed 5, but
not to dispute the Undisputed.
Right. I'm thinking ahead to Undisputed 7. Like I want to see Boyka in that.
Oh wait, well hold up. So what's in part 5, and then what's in part 6 and 7? You're jumping around here, my dude.
I'm already imagining the movie where Boyka has to train like the next generation of...
so perfect. So part 7 is Death Warrant. Part 5 is Death Warrant. Part 6 is Escape Plan 4, and then part 7 is The Next Generation. Dun, dun, dun.
And I would like to see maybe some more Asian actors in Undisputed movie.
Kung Lee needs some work. He hasn't
like Joe Taslim in there.
Joe
Taslim could be Iko Uwais, especially if you've seen Man of Tai Chi. He could do a good job.
Yep. So maybe the next
earlier.
Undisputed. he goes
What happened to
Asia.
Jason Yee, Dark Assassin and Girl from the Naked Eye?
Right. I mean, there's
you haven't seen those?
I have not. No.
Okay. Yeah. So I mentioned it earlier. Lateef Crowder is one of the fighters in that neo-noir action martial arts movie. But yeah, damn. What other martial artists who can we think of who, especially Asian American now, who could probably be in a movie of this sort? Because I don't think Don Wilson would want to do it unless he really has a good role.
right.
Hell, I mentioned Olivia Grunner. He could be the
Sure.
featured fighter, and he would be like they get oh shit. I think, have I exhausted all of them? I mean, can I get some Joe Estevez in part 7?
I mean, theoretically, you could probably see what Tony Jaa's up to as well. So.
What do you think he would do it, or would they try and screw him? Because it seems like Abby Lerner's paychecks, some of them don't go through half the time. So
I don't know. I mean, you could still try and get it to work, right? Like, if we're just thinking theoreticals, right? If we're speaking,
Okay, so
we got to get a Power Ranger in there somewhere.
I really would like to see Frank Grillo.
Oh,
yes! Oh my god!
Maybe that would be my nomination for Undisputed 5. And maybe that's he goes to an American prison. The boy has to fight Frank Grillo.
Oh yes, and he plays the main guard who's like, "I need you to stay down. They're gonna kill you in here, and why don't you listen to me?" Yeah, he'd be the good guard. The good guard who took maybe free bribes, and this third strike, you're out. No more bribes.
I'm glad Brant said his name because usually I butcher it. I always call him
Frank
I
Grillo.
loved you guys
Frank
on
Grillo.
Real Man, where you're like Frank Grillo.
Yes, of course. It's Frank Grillo, of course.
Grillo. Greasy Grillo. So boys, this has been a blast. I've been looking so much forward to this because there's many people who have seen these but have not chosen not to do an episode on it, or they can only do a one at a time kind of movie fandom. And I'm like, no, fuck it. We do franchises, and then we do, other similar themed get-together specials. And I think you guys have addressed the pop culture fandom side of this whole equation. So this has been great. And what movie do you think you guys will spin the dial on next on Slugfest VOD?
We have to consult the almighty letterbox to figure out what's next. We've got
your first collaboration.
It's our secret list of. This is the first time. Coming on someone else's show. So definitely.
Yeah. So thanks for having us.
Oh, good. You might check out. I Must Break This podcast.
Yeah.
They might.
Yeah, we will.
They might need you as a backup. Or better yet, no, frontline.
We'll have to check them out for sure.
But no, you guys have been very cool at just, again, describing the cinematic styles, and even, again, just what can be done better, what can be done great. And just the hate watch equation is also just so funny because this also appeals to, again, just the cult movie side. Is like, is this a long lost movie? Is this a film that needs to be forgotten? Or is this just the perfect reason for why we have streaming to begin with? What is this kind of movie?
Exactly. So, hey, I'm glad you like our stuff too. It's nice to hear that somebody actually heard it.
Heard it? Yeah.
When we actually go into podcasts, we always have to put that aside.
Yeah.
I don't care if they listen. Oh, shit, they heard that one?
Yeah,
Exactly. My worst hour.
But
Court is adjourned.
Awesome.
All right. So there you go. Judge Boyka.
Ooh.
Oh. He's the most
In
complete
Russia.
magistrate in the world.
Are you ultimate fighter material or not?
Oh.
Damn Brits doing perfect Russian accents. Awesome. I love it.
Yep. He slips very rarely. I gotta give him credit. Good job. Actually, I think he does. His Russian accent is a little more consistent than his American accent.
And you mentioned wanting to see more of Psycho Michael Rooker. He's recently in Corrective Measures and White Elephant.
Dude, I would listen to that guy read the phone book. He's so good.
And those are actually pretty good Bruce Willis movies for a change, so that's pretty good.
Good. Yeah, he's
love you, Bruce, but
yeah.
glad you're not being bribed by Emmett Furla anymore to do all those crazy movies.
Yeah.
I love how you guys were having to tiptoe very carefully. It's like, no offense to Bruce, but god damn it, I really want to say something nice, and I don't have anything nice to say because this movie sucks.
He's stepping away. He knows, right? Like, he knows he's stepping away. I
would have probably done the same thing. Hey,
yeah.
Seems like a part.
Oh my god, I would I'd kill family members to have the later stage career.
I wanted to. When I saw he was doing all those indie movies, I was like, well, fuck. How much is it going to be? 10,000 just to put him in my movie for the day? Perfect. I'll have him play a cowboy who's retired and teaching someone how to be a sheriff, and then shoots a gunman at a bar near the end. That'd be amazing.
Yep, sitting at a desk with a gun. Yeah,
yeah,
more like a shotgun.
Sure.
He doesn't even have to do anything. Just sit there. And then quotes his famous line from Die Hard. That was Roy Rogers, asshole. Oh, man. Well, thank you all for being on here. Seriously. And I apologize for the hold up. I was in some crazy.
No worries. No worries.
Life happens.
Yeah.
Life happens.
Any other franchises you guys want to take on, or even actors per se, or filmmakers, I'm down. Even music bands, if you are that kind of audience.
I think I would cede the music to Ryan. My taste is all over the place as far as that, but
we all?
Definitely. We could come on and talk about the Marine franchise sometime.
I will definitely, yeah. Especially, I was guffawing when he was like, Neil McDonald, why the fuck are you in this movie? Oh, that's right. You know these guys. This whole terrorist plot is total bullshit. And but go figure, you know who this is made by and made for, right?
100%.
And we're just bystanders, just trying to make sense and just accept it in a, The Rock, Arnold kind of way. And then just like sometimes it's just too much. Where there are there's this one with Dean Cain and Big Show that's kind of fun, but I really don't want to talk about it much because I really hate the filmmakers that are involved with it because they're kind of petty.
Right.
But
yeah, you get into some real red meat with some of the people involved for sure.
Well, and it does suck because you're just like Robert Davi of all people I know is doing like this Hunter Biden biopic starring Gina Carano, and you're just like, who gives a shit about Hunter Biden? And come on, go back to what we like to see you as. Mr. Davi is the FBI asshole, not
right.
Yeah, director making just, I don't know. A lot of people are just showing their true colors and just doing just movies that aren't even entertaining anymore, where you're just like, this should be a fun, well thought out independent movie that you either want an instant return on, and these movies kind of fit the bill because they're just like, hey, regardless of the political spectrum, you got to have some serious thought, and these all paid off, and I'm glad we could have you on for these.
Yeah, so I mean, we won't be on for the Atlas Shrugged trilogy, but I'm sure we can. I'm sure we can find some movies that will actually be fun to watch and talk about.
I promise. No Omega Code. No Left Behind. No bullshit.
Oh, Left Behind. Yeah.
I remember everyone was so mad when the Nick Cage movie came out, and I was mad when like the Kirk Cameron films came out because it's like people actually believe in the rapture and think it's entertaining. No.
Yeah.
I mean, count me in for The Leftovers on HBO. That was a fun show, but very clearly make believe. Yeah.
Right. If you can at least do an X-Files Millennium type tactic where it's like, it's not asking you to agree with the character's beliefs. But...
Hey, if you want to believe in the Rapture and the Book of Revelations, that's fine. I personally don't give a shit what Kirk Cameron has to say about all that. So
I don't think anyone does.
Nobody does.
It says something when your movie has like the same score as like lowest ranked Christmas movie of all time or some shit like that. I don't know.
Right.
But also, just like you say, even watching something like Touch Like an Angel nowadays can be very alarming because you're like, Jesus. So basically, if you don't believe, then you're going to hell.
You're a terrible person.
You're a shit bag, and you don't deserve any kind of empathy. It's like, that's just not how this world works. Thank you all so much for being on here, and hopefully we don't end up in a prison like this where we are pretty much gonna have to sacrifice any of our beliefs or
we'll team up and form a crew fast.
Yes,
that's right.
There, so.
Well, I will cast you in lockup too.
Outstanding.
And Ryan, you'll be. I guess I can put you on the next Law and Order. Law and Order Dallas.
Perfect. Nice.
Law and Order North Carolina. Then we're getting into some real shady territory. Law and Order Mississippi.
Oh no, I'm out. North Carolina, I'm good. So,
Law and Order
like
Upper Michigan.
Yeah. Law and Order UP.
Law and Order Detroit. Oh God. Thank you all.
Thanks.
You kick some serious ass. Be safe out there.
Thanks.
We'll return after these messages.
Do you ever find yourself thinking about who would win in a fight between Goku and Superman? Hi, I'm James Gavsey, and on the Who Would Win show, me and my co-host Ray ignore anything important happening in the outside world and debate fictional battles between characters from comics, movies, and video games.
We got a new show every week, and almost always am I the winner.
Yeah, not true, Ray.
In the past, we've discussed such matches as Captain America versus Darth Vader, Solid Snake versus the Iron Giant, classic matchups like RoboCop versus Terminator, and even the Muppets versus Sesame Street.
That one was crazy. So if you're a fan of geek culture and love a spirited debate, check out the Who Would Win show wherever you get your podcasts, or check us out at whowouldwinshow.com.
We let things pile up in the DVR, we add them to our queues, we wait for the DVDs and Blu-rays. We time shift. The Time Shifters Podcast. Sci-fi, horror, fantasy, superheroes, comedy, action, film, television, maybe some not-so-current events. Find us on iTunes or at timeshifterspodcast.com.
Cool thing about Blind Knowledge is we are in multiple countries. We are worldwide all across the globe. We are in the US, we are in the UK, we are in Canada, Germany, India, Japan. We're in Australia, y'all. BlindKnowledge.com. Now back to the feature presentation.
Dragon Ball Z, One Piece, Naruto, all things that we love, all manga that were originally published in the legendary magazine Weekly Shonen Jump.
But not every series can run for 300 chapters and have a hit anime. This is David.
This is Jordan.
We're the hosts of Shonen Flop. Each episode we look at manga that ran in Jump that didn't quite make it.
We discuss what it did wrong, what it did right, how the series could have turned itself around, and ultimately, was it a flop or not?
We're on all your favorite podcast apps, and you can find us at shonenflop.com.
Keep on flopping, floppers.
Follow us on the web on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The podcast is available on Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor, Apple, and anywhere else podcasts are available. Feel free to review our show and leave comments on any of those sites. Thanks a million for listening.
It's a jacked up